Hi. Okay, before I start the video, I'm adding this to the beginning of it. The reason why is because actually I was going to scrap this video and redo it because of one simple little thing. Halfway through it, and you're going to see this, and I did edit the video so that you didn't, so that it works out okay, but I lost my train of thought. And I was like, ugh, crap. But this is something that happens often. I know there's a term for it. I've heard people speak of it as spiritual amnesia. It's a thing that like starts happening to you, and I remember it started happening to me after a long time of doing heavy duty spiritual work and self work on myself. I literally got to a point where I felt like in resolving a lot of my past issues, I ended up getting to the point where I actually felt like I'd erased many things. And you do. When you do heavy duty work on yourself and spiritual work, you'll notice that when people are reminiscing with you, like my mother does it with me, sometimes she reminisces with me going back to when I was a child, and she'll be like, oh, remember, this street and this person and that person. And it's amazing to me where I draw a total blank, where it's just like, yeah, I know I used to remember that, but now I'm drawing a total blank on it. That like part of my life and pieces from it are totally just gone. And that's not a bad thing. It's not signifying something bad, like if you have Alzheimer's or something. Although it can feel like that to you because at times you just kind of feel like you're going along good. You draw a total blank. Like everything like literally leaves your mind. Like everything is there, and then all of a sudden nothing is there. Literally nothing. Like it's like somebody hit a switch and it's gone. Everything is gone. And I gotta admit, and the reason why I'm doing this little pre-video is because I was gonna scrap the video and redo the whole thing. And then I thought, that's not really like what I want to do. That's not how I want to present myself to people. I don't want to hide who I really am. I think that a lot of people that do YouTube videos, they put all the makeup on, they get the hair done, the nails done, and we're looking at them and we're like, oh, they look so perfect, so good. I should look like that. And no, I don't look like that. That's not who I really am. This is who I am. And I kind of felt like, no, I want to be me. I don't have a problem with you knowing me, knowing who I am, knowing what I deal with. And I'm like, I feel like the best thing I can do is be honest and straightforward about who I am, the things I deal with on a regular basis. And the whole spiritual amnesia thing, and like I don't deal with it very often. I did hit a point where it was happening like so much that I got self-conscious about it because it was happening so often. I was losing my train of thought, and I was like often on coaching calls and readings, I was just like all of a sudden everything would go blank. And yeah, I did get very self-conscious, and I realized, you know what? The reason why I thought to redo the video, it wasn't because it needed to be redone. It was because I got self-conscious. So we're going to let this fly, okay? So, not redoing the video. You're going to see like what happens. I sped up that section, so you're going to see it when I hit it, and then you're going to see it when I go, oh, I remember. So anyway, Thank you, because I appreciate you guys. You guys are always so good to me. You're so good. You're so kind. And so, the best thing I can do for you to show you how thankful I am for how you are to me is to be the real me and to let you see it all. So, I love you. Hi, and thank you for listening. This is Sherry Andrea, and I appreciate you. And I know I say this all the time, and then it's not true, but this is going to be a really quick video. First of all, you can find me at sherryspeaks.com, where you can find 80 plus attunements, also services such as psychic readings, coachings. Right now, the sale is still on for $15 for 30 minutes. And then also, there's another special for people who have never gotten a reading from me. $5, 20 minutes, so that you can have a chance to try it out. And it doesn't matter what you want, whether you want a reading or a coaching or a little bit of both for that 20 minutes. It's whatever you need. Okay, so let's get to it. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, please do subscribe, because that helps me out. Like the video, that helps me out. And feel free to share it if you want to. Okay, so let's get to it. This is what I wanted to bring up, something that happened. Okay, so earlier, I would say maybe going on a couple hours ago, I was coming out of my bedroom, and for some reason my brother came to mind. Thinking back, I'm like, yeah, nothing made him come to mind. There was nothing going on or anything I saw or heard that reminded me of him. He just came to mind. A thought about him came to mind. And didn't think anything of it. Because I was busy. I was on the way to go somewhere, so I didn't think anything of it because I was busy. So about probably less than an hour after that had happened, I'm on my back porch. I'm relaxing, not really thinking about anything. Oh, I know. I was watching a video, actually. I watch one of these channels I watch. It's called The Young Turks. And I really love the channel because it's kind of like a news. They are, what is it called? On the left? I always get it mixed up. Who's on the left, who's on the right? As far as politicians. I think Republicans are on the right and Democrats are on the left. Okay, so they're on the left. So they're not really pro-democratic. They're more, the way I've seen it, from what I've seen, I would say they're more anti-Republican, but they're not necessarily pro-Democrat. I like them. A lot of times, they can be impartial, so that's maybe why I like them. But anyway, they're called the Young Turks. But I was watching them, and as I was starting to watch them, the video hadn't even gotten started good, and my phone started ringing, and I looked down, and it was my brother calling. And of course, when I saw that, I went, okay. Yeah, that's why he came to mind. My higher self was trying to let me know, hey, you're going to have, either some type of interaction with this person. This person's going to call you, or they're going to come ring your doorbell, or something like that. But this is the reason why I'm making this video. I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, I talk about this all the time with people, and a lot of times they've had experiences where they can relate. But then I thought to myself, or maybe it was my higher self that was kind of like, yeah, but you've been leaving a part out that you really need to talk about. And this is it. That does not happen by accident. What I mean by that is your higher self, your guides, they kind of do have to know what what you want to get a heads up about. Like, for example, if something happens in the Ukraine, I don't need a heads up about that. I don't really necessarily have a concern about that. That's not going to affect me. But, and whether or not a volcano is going to happen, whether or not an earthquake is going to happen, I don't necessarily need to know those things unless they impact me. But then, okay, here's the question. How does your higher self and your guides know what you want to be alerted to? That, what I'm pointing out is, it doesn't just happen by itself. Your higher self doesn't go, oh, it's her brother or her sister, so she's gonna want to know about that. No, look, spirit doesn't make assumptions like we as people do. Spirit doesn't make assumptions. This is something that didn't used to happen to me. Thinking back, this is something that didn't used to happen to me. I kind of had to crank this up. I kind of had to get this going. And what I mean by that is, over a period of time, and not a long period of time, but as my higher self was like peeping things to me, like, okay, this, okay, that, I literally had to make the adjustment to be like, okay, I didn't really need to know that. I really didn't, need to, like, okay, I'm going to give you an example. A message board that I was a member of, and I was also a supervisor in one of the chat rooms. There was someone that was also a member of the message board and everything that was, how would I say, very involved. I'll call it that, very involved. And there was a few people on there that I got to be friends with and everything that were regulars. They were constantly there, constantly using the message board. And I got to that point too, where I was constantly on there, constantly using it, because, that's where, I could be communicating with people that had my same interests, that were also developing, that are also working on themselves, etc., etc. And I remember, okay, so I was in the chat room, and one of the ladies came in the chat room that, was a very active member and everything, that had awesome abilities. And when she came in, the thing was, when we started, you know what I mean? You know how you greet each other and everything, you start small chat. I got this sharp pain all of a sudden in my arm, in the crook of my arm. I got a really, really sharp pain. Now that's my clairsentience at work, right? Okay. So, but when it happened, and how my clairsentience works often, my clairsentience and my empathy, is I feel something or sense something, and then just like that, like just knowing kicks in. Like, I can't really explain it. I just, then, I feel it, and then suddenly I just know what it is. Like, it comes to my mind, I just know what it is. And when it happened, I said to her, it hurt really, really bad. And I said to her, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I just got this pain in my arm. It reminded me, and it felt like when somebody gets an IV put in. And she goes, oh. She's like, you're probably picking that up off of me, because my mother is in the hospital on the West Coast, and her line, I guess the IV line, had gotten clogged or something, and so they had to change the IV. And what I thought that was interesting about that is that I don't know her. Yeah, and that's what came to mind. I'm like, I don't even know her mother. How did I connect to her mother? But that is how connections work. It's not just that you can connect and pick things up off of the person you're talking to, but even people or things they have a connection to. Okay, now let me get to my point. This is my point, is that at the time, my thought was, okay, but why am I getting that? I I don't need that. I don't need that information. I don't need to know that. I don't need to have experience, and I don't need to know that. And so back then was when I was having experiences like that, where I that's what would come to me. I would be thinking, but yeah, I don't need that. There are things that I need to know, but there are certain things I don't need to know. Like, and that's one of them. I don't know her mother. Why do I need to know that? I don't. But there are things I need to know. Okay, so it was back then that I started to realize, well, that I was getting like random things. Like, okay, I'm getting information. I'm being told this. But it's random. It's not always something that I would need to know. It's just random stuff. And so that's when I realized, okay, I need to start saying what I need to know and what I don't need to know. And that's when I started doing that. And every day I was spending a certain amount of time as it came up and as I thought of it, expressing to my higher self, my guides, angels, and the masters, okay, I want to know this, but I don't need to know that. And I started doing that. And you have to keep in mind, you may think, oh, but my higher self, my guides, they should know what I want to know without me telling them. Yeah, they do know everything, but this is a little bit different. This is like saying out of a million things, they have to decide on their own what's important to you. There's a million things that could be important to you. That's why I'm saying you have to narrow it down so that you're not just randomly given this information that you may not need to know. But maybe you're being given things, but maybe you're not being given things that are important to you. Like, for example, let's say you're like me. You're a solitary person. You got your own thing going on, and you don't like visitors or company where they haven't let you know they're coming over. I don't really like surprise visitors. I like people to let me know you're coming. I don't like I'm just here, I'm just popping up. I don't like that. Why? Because I might be in the middle of something. I might be, and it happens all the time. Never fails. I always know if I'm going to take a nap in the afternoon, before I lay down to take a nap, I go, okay, let's see how this is going to go, and who's going to wake me up and interrupt my nap. Or just when it may be 2:00 and I'm having a late lunch because I couldn't decide what I wanted to eat. As soon as I get my food, it's hot, doorbell rings. And I'm like, God damn it. I really wanted to eat that hot. But like I said, okay, so that's why I did get to the point where I was like, okay, higher self, I want to know when people are coming to visit me, and especially if it's somebody I don't really care to see. I want a heads up. Now, I notice my higher self does not give me a heads up when my parents are coming to visit me unexpectedly. But I think that's because in the past there was some anxiety associated with that. Even though there's not now, but there used to be in the past. So I think my higher self just got to the point where it's like, okay, we don't want to start her off on this whole anxiety thing. Let's just let it be a surprise. So yeah, I do notice that. I never get a heads up when my parents are coming to visit me, but I think that's because also my higher self knows that, I resolved those issues and now I'm okay with it. So there's no need for a heads up there. However, I'll tell you this. Okay, so I did have an instance of that. And okay, I wasn't given a heads up, but let me tell you what happened. Okay, so my neighbor's daughter has been over at her house more lately for like the last, let's say, few days. And I knew that, and I figured, because sometimes she'll ring my doorbell because I make my own cigarettes, and sometimes she'll ring my doorbell and say, "Oh, can I have a cigarette?" And I'll make her one. And but look, my doorbell rang today, and I swear, my higher self was like, "Don't answer it." And so I sat there and I was like, "I'm not answering it." I didn't know what, I trust my higher self, so I don't even question it anymore. I said, I'm not answering it. And then, let's say after a few minutes, I hear my son, "Mommy," and I was just like, "Yeah," because I knew what he was going to ask me. He was like, "Did you not hear the doorbell?" I'm like, "Yeah, I heard it." He said, "You're not going to answer it?" I said, No, I'm not." And then I would say about a half an hour later, he says to me, he goes, "Oh, by the way," I'm not going to mention her name, "such and such was with such and such. I saw such and such outside." And then I went, "Oh, well, that explains it. Oh, heck no. I wouldn't have answered the door if I knew that. I absolutely wouldn't have wanted to answer the door." So my higher self, knowing that, was just like, "Don't answer it." Because it's kind of like, "Oh, you're going to get more than you bargained for. Don't answer it." So that's sometimes the way it happens. The most important thing is you have to get to a point where you trust that information that you're getting, where you like really trust it. Like, I didn't know why the answer was don't answer the door. I didn't know. I really didn't know. But I trusted it. I was like, I'm not answering it. And I didn't. And it was the right decision. It was totally the right decision. Your higher self, your guides, they'll try to help you out. But see, here's the thing. This is very important. I talk to my higher self a lot. Well, as a group, we have the group meetings. My higher self, God, the angels, and the masters. I call them all, and I talk to them all at the same time. Like, we're having a little group powwow, right? But I talk to them about everything. I talk to them about what I'm going through at the time. I talked to them about how my day went, things that came up that I didn't like, things that came up that I did like, things that bothered me, why they bothered me. I am constantly talking to them. They have gotten to know me, what I want, what I don't want, what I'm trying to avoid, and for what reason. They have gotten to know me so well. They know what to give me a heads up about. They know what to warn me about. So that's important. It's important that you spend time talking to them. Just like they're a friend of yours, you need to talk to them. When I think of how much time we waste doing a lot of things, if you're going to waste time in any way, this is a good way to waste time, because this will actually be something that actually helps you, something you get benefit from. So if you're going to waste some time in a day, the best way to waste it is talking out loud. I mean, yeah, to other people it's going to seem like you're talking to yourself. My son sometimes sneaks up on me. He's like, "You're talking to yourself again." And I'm like, no, I'm talking to my higher self and the angels and the ascended masters of God. No, I'm not talking to myself. But that's how it appears to him. So it's going to appear to people that you're talking to yourself, even though you're not. But that's how it seems, but it doesn't seem that way to me anymore. It seems that way in the beginning because it's like, feels a little awkward to you. But believe me, the more you do it, the more it will feel like, no, this is something normal. I know who I'm talking to, and I know they're present. I know they're here. I'm used to them being here when I'm talking to them. I know I've got like this, I don't know, captive audience almost. I know they're here. They're listening. They always listen. And a lot of times they will let you know they're listening if you pay attention. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up as like the, an example, because my higher self pointed out that I forgot to explain often when I talk about this how it comes to be that they know what to give me a heads up about, how they know what I want to know. So I hope this was helpful to you. And I'm sorry about that little break there where I lost my thoughts. But you know what? I'm going to leave that in there. Because the reason why I'm going to leave it in there is because, like I said, there is a term for it. It's called spiritual amnesia. It does, as you advance and you're changing yourself and you're working on yourself, it happens periodically, almost to the point where it would make you wonder if you're like, if something's going on with your brain. There was a period of time that I was worried that am I gonna have Alzheimer's or something? And there was a period of time that I was worried, until I came across this really awesome video that actually talked about it and called it spiritual amnesia and described it. When they described it, I was like, that's exactly what's been happening to me. I can't really explain when it happens versus when it doesn't. I haven't figured that part out yet. But you kind of try to go with the flow. It happens. Don't freak out about it. There's nothing you need to do about it. No, there's nothing wrong with your brain. You don't need to mention it to your doctor, because if you do, some of these things are not diagnosed by a test. They're diagnosed by what you say your symptoms are. So if you don't want them putting you on like Alzheimer's medicine or something, when that's not really the problem, then be careful about mentioning it to your doctor, because things like that are diagnosed by what you say your symptoms are. So just be careful, of telling your doctor that, because he may misdiagnose you with something you actually don't have. But anyway, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate your patience. I hope you're having a wonderful week. So far, it's just the start, but I hope you're having a wonderful week. Talk to you soon, and I appreciate you. Namaste.